Hey up everybody, and welcome back to the Audio Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Grand Prix Cycliste de Montreal, obviously off of the back of the GP Quebec, which was an absolute just mind-blowing race. Didn't really finish how I expected it to, with Alaphilippe taking the win. All kind of quite attritional. Pogacar was not the way to go, and yeah, I think just going with like Deli, Matthews, Godon and stuff was a pretty safe move to be going with. But anyway, going on to Montreal, no cycling database website is working right now, so we're going straight to the horse's mouth with the straight to the organisers. Pretty much Montreal is more difficult than Quebec. We see more climbing, 4,500 meters, so it's definitely more of a climber's race rather than a sprinter's race. It's definitely changed over the last few years in terms of the type of riders that win. We used to see, Greg Van Avermaet and Matthews, Sagan doing quite well here, and both sorts of riders may still hang on to a second group and sprint it out for the minor placings, but it's more like the climbers who seem to do better in this race. So we have, it's like 200, we got, a 12.3 kilometer lap, 17 laps long. It's a pretty difficult race, obviously characterized mainly by this climb, which is kind of like the main bit of the day. It's kind of 130, 140 meters of climbing, averages 6% or so. Sort of comes off of this kind of hot dog turn, and then it's kind of going up this climb here, and then the rest of the circuit is sharp turns, definitely places to attack over these couple of little lumps, but this climb here is the main appetizer of the whole circuit. 210 kilometers long, so really looking more towards the climber types in this time round. Pogacar, therefore, I think is a bit of a must-have pick. No, he didn't do that great in Quebec, and that might put some people off. However, Pogacar won this race last year, and in preparation for the World Champs, I think that he's going to be wanting to do well in this race, because it's in terms of, if you were to extrapolate this race outwards to be 260 kilometers long like it is in the World Champs, it would be very representative of the World Champs sort of course in terms of distance and altitude gain. So I think Pogacar is a very good pick. Don't really need to say too much else about that. I don't think that going without him and saving credits and distributing is just a way to go. I think Pogacar can get those breakaway points and stuff and be a very good pick. Wout, I probably wouldn't pick, although he was top 15 in Quebec. I still bracket him in the same of like Deli, Gamay, Matthews, those sorts of riders. I know he came second in this race, not last year, the year before, I think it was, but for me, at 30 credits, that's just quite expensive for a rider who I could probably get the same quality out of an Alaphilippe, who's 8 credits cheaper. The likes of Deli and Binny, I probably wouldn't be picking in this race. Even though Binny did look very strong, to be fair, in Quebec, I just think that Alaphilippe winning the other day was a really impressive performance, and he was third in this race last year, so Alaphilippe is a good record in this race, and I think that he is clearly in good form and is a good shout for a top 5. I'm not sure about replicating the win again, but I think that Alaphilippe is definitely a safe choice. Arambarou has been in the top 10 of this race as well, but perhaps hasn't shown the most scintillating form recently, but still solid enough to try and get a top 10. Benoit's actually quite solid in this race, and with Wout not having the best legs, in my opinion, I think that Benoit and maybe even like somebody like Simon Yates might have a bit more freedom to chase their own result, and Benoit does have a good record in this race, so I think he's good. Madouas has been top 10 in this race as well, and he looked okay in Quebec, so he'll probably get some protection from Groupama FDJ. Paulus doesn't have a good record in this race for some reason, but he was also okay in Quebec, so I quite like him as a pick. Adam Yates has won this race. It was Adam Yates who won this race a few years ago, so ahead of Sivakov, who's now, funnily enough, his teammate. And I don't think that Yates is in the same form as he was a few years ago. I definitely think that somebody like Paulus or Alaphilippe is better at, or Benoit is better at the same price range. I would say in the 20 credits, I know Bettiol was good in Quebec, but I think this is Hillier and just probably not how suited to Bettiol. But if the second group plays too many games and is too defensive, Bettiol could definitely survive and get a good placing. I think that somebody like Bilbao might be safer. He was on the podium as well last year, second place, and he's clearly got a good history of this race as well. So I quite like Bilbao. I like Sivakov as well. Obviously, he was second in Quebec, so he's got some decent legs at the moment. And if Pogačar wins, then Sivakov gets like 60 assist points de facto. And I think that he's clearly the best, or the second best in UAE at the moment. Skelmers Jensen, again, quite like him. He was top 10 in Quebec, and he's clearly got some decent legs. But he will lack a bit of team support towards the end of the race. That's the only problem. You might want to go with Sivakov just so he can sit on if Pogačar's already attacked, get the assist points, and then he can just try and out-sprint them at the end, although Sivakov's sprint isn't the best, it must be said. Simon Yates has been top 10 in this race, and I've just got a sneaky suspicion that if Wout's legs aren't there, I think Simon Yates could be a bit of a good differential to go with, for sure. Corbin Strong, very similar to the Matthews, Binnies, and the Lees of the world, in my opinion. 18 credit riders, maybe Narvaez. If he can hang on to that second group, he'll sprint well and get assist points off Pogačar. 16 credit riders, honestly, Jonas Agir's got a good reputation in this race. He hasn't had the form recently, but some of these times these riders can really burst out of nowhere and just get a good result out of nothing. It's that sort of weird time of the year. Tobias Johannesson doesn't have the form at the moment for some reason. The results haven't been there. I'd probably stay away from him. McNulty could definitely do something. I think that going with multiple UE riders is not a bad idea in this race. And McNulty, although somebody's going to have to be a domestique, but he could certainly do something. Zana, if Matthews isn't there, I reckon he might get the nod from Jayco to get his own result. The 14 credit riders, maybe Blackmore, but his results recently haven't been fantastic. Velasco has been top 10 in this race as well. Morisa I like. I think it'll be too difficult for Hermans, and Morisa was decent in Quebec, so he'll probably have a bit more opportunity in this race. The 12 credit riders I like Onley, but he was dropped very early in Quebec, and that's either because he's just in bad form and he hasn't recovered from the Tour and the Tour of Britain, or the Tour de France and the Tour of Britain, or it's just that he was being tactical and he knew that he wasn't going to get a good result in Quebec, so therefore he was just saving his legs for Montreal. You can look at it either way and maybe look at some press releases, but Onley is in theory a good pick, as is Zambanini. He was top 10 in this race last year, and Bahrain have multiple options here, so he either attacks off the front and then his teammates block behind, or he can sit in and then sprint for a good position himself. The 10s, Lipovitz, he's not much of a renowned one-day racer, but he is a good climber, and that climb is very suited to him. It's that sort of 6-7% gradient, which he's very good at, so Lipovitz, why not? The 8 credit riders, Berthe, possibly, Ewan Costu, both of these riders being pretty good in the Tour de Limousin recently. Other 8 credit riders could be Juan Pedro Lopez or Remy Rojas, Frank Vandenbroek as well. None of them screaming out at me as fantastic picks, but those are some of the best ones in my opinion. The 6s are very similar. Louis Barret, good in GP Industria the other day, so maybe he could do something. Anton Charmig, top 10 in Quebec, so just on form you could decide to go with Charmig. Yeah, honestly, there's not that many picks to be going at. Ualio, I think, is probably your best one. And other than that, maybe just, honestly, assist points could be a move. Jürgen Nordhagen as well, just as a good climber. And maybe assist points off of Visma Leasebike. And honestly, the rest of them, I probably wouldn't be going near unless you think we're going to get in a break. I think Ineos will probably get in the breakaway. I don't know with who. Probably Schmidt. Schmid. Where is he? Artem Schmidt, there we go. You might want to go with him. I think he was in the break last year. And then the 4s, again, you're looking at assist points on whoever you think is going to do quite well. Based upon Alaphilippe's form, I'd be tempted to go with the Tudor Pro Cycling riders. You could go with Bardzeng as a decent climber for Arkea. And yeah, other than that, Naberman if you think that Onley's going to finish on the podium. And that's about it, I think. This is my team at the moment. Pogacar, Alaphilippe, Skellers, Jensen, Zambanini, Bardet, and Ualio. I honestly kind of talked myself into I might take Sivakov instead. Or, you know, if I didn't go Sivakov, I could go McNulty and put those into a 6 to get a 10. But I didn't really like many of the 10s, so I probably won't do that. So this is my team, I think, kind of stacking up on the UAE riders and Alaphilippe just based on form. But let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below about who you're going to put onto your teams and your kind of logic behind it. I think that Pogacar is a must-have pick, but I'd be interested to hear if people have got other opinions on that and have got teams which might, which they're going to try and go with a no-pog strategy. It would be interesting to hear. And all there's left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut.